Hello and welcome to another Creating Kindness Design Team video hop and blog hop. Be sure to check the video description for the next link to watch another technique. I'm going to demonstrate the Eclipse technique today with just a little bit of a twist. To do the Eclipse technique, it's pretty much an item that is die cut and it's raised away from an area of cardstock that looks kind of like it belongs in a pattern. However, the eclipse is bringing up something else, such as if you were to spell out a word that was in amongst a whole stamped panel, then the eclipse would be that the panel has a design, but you're eclipsing the design to make another design. It's a little bit of a twist, so I'm going to share my favorite ways to create this technique. So I'm using the letters for you to create the word mom, and I am just putting the M and the O right on a large block that has enough room to fit another letter. That way I can properly line up my next letter and I can get a nice straight line. I'm using a spare piece of cardstock to help in the process as well. I'm leaving the O on the block even though it will not be inked up, because if I line up that O, then my M on the right hand side will go in just the right spot. Now I'm going to use the large letter thinlits dies to cut these letters away from the panel. Once I do the M and the O, I'm going to be sure to save that tiny little insert oval piece from the letter O, because it's going to be necessary in creating the eclipse technique. So setting this little piece aside is very important. Now I'm going to add it back in where it normally would lie and use just a little bit of snail to hold it in place. I don't want it to be permanent to my grid paper. I just want it to stay in place, because when I add this panel down to the rest of the card, then that middle section is going to be there as well. There are many different ways to do this portion of the technique, and this is where I find that I can let my creativity really show through. I want to make a card for Mother's Day for one of my moms, and I've got a couple. We have mother-in-laws, actual mothers. There's lots of people in our lives that we can celebrate for any holiday, and this is a perfect technique to be able to highlight that word. So I want the letters to stand out very well. However, to create the eclipse portion, I want to add one solid flower that is going to go across several of the letters. Some people have created an overall panel or used designer series paper. There's so many ways that you can customize your own card. I want the eclipsed portion to be the tulip, and I'm using beautiful bouquet stamps and the dies to create this. So you can see here what the panel looks like without having the letters down in the middle, and this needs to be secured on a layer of Whisper White. All of the measurements are in the video description. So you can see that I kept the background stamping more or less subtle so that those letters can really stand out. And now I'm going to adhere, but I need to have some very tiny strips to use for my Stampin' Dimensionals, because I don't want the adhesive to show through, but these letters absolutely must be raised. So I'm going to make some very tiny strips and place and make sure that the letters have a nice firm all over coverage of raised up dimensionals. And I'll add them directly into the area that they would normally lie on the card front. So this is basically the eclipse technique in a nutshell. There's a lot of different ways to customize it, but as you can see, I'm making sure that the flower, the tulip flower, is in the right place as I turn all the pieces around. I'm going to add some very small metallic sequins to the centers of the background flowers. These are some tiny florals, and so they will just completely melt into nothing unless I bring them back up into the card. So adding that little bit of sparkle down into the middle of the flowers gives them a little bit of life of their own. As I mentioned, this video is part of a video hop that is from the Creating Kindness design team, and each member has got a brand new technique that they're featuring for you. To get to the next video link, look in the video description and it's the very first line. Just click the link and you'll be taken right over there. All of the products used today are available in my online store. Get there by going to jennystampsup.com and click Shop Now. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day!